Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gretchen and today I am here to provide a little bit of a reading recap of what has been going on in my reading life over the past several weeks. Now, it has been a while since I have done one of these. I had actually filmed one, and if you watched my video for my audition review, I mentioned that I lost my camera card where I had a lot of pre-filmed videos on that never made it, and unfortunately I never recovered it, so I'm kind of starting from scratch with some videos that I had previously filmed, but I still did want to take some time to give you a recap because I like sharing that with you, and also it keeps me honest and it keeps me on track for certain things and projects, etc. So I like to use these videos as a way to hold myself accountable. So also I will say that this video might be a little chaotic. Normally when I go to sit down to put one of these together, I have my thoughts organized, but I don't have the time to do that today. I just have time to film. So hopefully I can get this done and it not be too off the rails, and I can stay on track and not lose focus or go down all of these different rabbit holes to keep this video as short as possible for you. So how these videos are typically set up is I'll talk about the books that I have finished, the books that I'm actively reading, and then the books that I will be reading. And I'm gonna stick with that as well. But what I will say is that as far as the books that I have finished goes, there are lots of books that I have finished since the last time that I did one of these videos, but a lot of the books that I have finished are for other reading projects, so I won't necessarily be talking about them in detail on this video. I will be doing separate videos at a later time going in depth with those books. So if you follow my channel, you know that I'm doing the Booker Prize long list, so I'll do individual book reviews for all of those books. I did my first video for my Uncovering Indie series where I highlight independent presses and the books that they publish. I have been reading and finishing several books from a bunch of indie publishers for that, or for those videos I should say, so I won't talk about those. And then also I have been participating in the BookTube Prize this year as a judge, and I have done 2 rounds where I judged the fiction books, and we're in the finals now, so we're down to our last 6 books in both fiction and nonfiction, and instead of judging the finals for fiction, I jumped ship to nonfiction because I have already read all 6 of the books that were in the running for fiction, so I wanted to read something new, and there were several of the nonfiction ones that I haven't read, so I decided, and also they were looking specifically for more nonfiction judges, so I thought, what the heck, so I'm judging the finals for the nonfiction prize. So that being said, there's been a lot of reading done, but there's technically only 2 books that I will give proper reviews for on this video because I didn't read them for any specific project. And the first one of those books is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. So this is a book that was on my anticipated reads for this year. I'm a fan of this author. I have previously read Migrations and Once There Were Wolves, and I enjoyed both of those very much. So when I knew that she had a new one out, I was very excited to read it, and this one, it lived up to that hype that I had in my mind for me. I very much enjoyed this read as well. So this book is kind of in the same vein of what she's written before, but also kind of different. I felt like with this one, it had much more of a mystery tone to it. It had definitely more of a thriller-like pace for me as well. So this book follows a group of characters, and they are on this remote island in the South, I think it's the South Pacific, and it's very close to Antarctica. And basically you have a family. It's led by the father. His name is Dominic, and he has 3 children. He has an older son, a middle daughter, and then a younger son. And the purpose of them being on this island is they are there to kind of be the protectors of this island. This island is used for research, and it also houses a seed bank. So there are all kinds of seeds from all different types of flowers and plants and vegetation and trees that are housed within this seed bank to protect them. Obviously, Charlotte McConaghy, she really focuses a lot on eco-fiction or climate fiction, and you know, how we preserve the world and how it needs to be protected. And this seed bank is there, you know, in case anything happens, you know, we have the ability to have access to those things so that we can start to repopulate those plants if needed. So their purpose is to protect that and be the guardians of it. Now, then we have our other character. Her name is Rowan, and Rowan washes up on the shores of this island unexpectedly, and this family finds her. And when she gets there, it's kind of a mystery as to why she's here, and over the course of the story, all of that unfolds, and we find out more about her motivation for trying to get to the island, specifically why she's there, what she is looking for on that island, and the connection that she has to some people that are potentially on that island or were on that island. So this novel, like I said, it does have that mystery element. I enjoyed this story very much. I thought it was fast-paced. I thought it was entertaining. And she really, I feel like, gave this one a more ominous tone, let's say, than her other novels that I have read. This one definitely felt a little more violent, if that's the right word that I'm looking for. It just had more of an uneasiness in the narrative to me. It was definitely darker, I feel, than her other books, and I appreciated that. It wasn't, I think, over the top where you would now call her a thriller, a solid thriller writer. It's still very much literary in nature, but I do feel like it had the elements of that mystery and thriller that a lot of readers look for. So this would maybe even be a really good gateway for readers that typically tend to stick to more commercial thrillers to maybe dabble more into the literary side of thrillers. I will also say I like her characterization. These characters, they all have pasts, they all have demons, they are not perfect people, but she somehow manages to make us empathize with them. She gets us to relate to them and root for them, and I do honestly think that even though some of them are very unlikable and you question their motivations or their actions, that you do kind of end up with a little bit of a soft spot for them, and you want them to come out on the other end of the story unscathed. And I do appreciate the way that she is able to get me to connect emotionally to the characters in her books. And yeah, I think that it was a solid read. I will say though, if any of you have read any other books by Charlotte McConaghy, my preference is still Once There Were Wolves. I really enjoyed that one. I liked Migrations, I liked Wild Dark Shores, but Once There Were Wolves was just a step above for me. But if you do appreciate her writing and have enjoyed her books in the past, I think that this is one that you could enjoy as well. The next book that I finished was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I am not ashamed to say that I love a good Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I find her books to be highly entertaining. I know that a lot of readers out there dismiss her and kind of push her to the side. I know she has a huge TikTok following and a lot of, or I should say book talk following, and I know that she gets a lot of hate for that, but I really enjoy her books. I think they're highly entertaining. I usually connect with the characters, and she always finds a way to tug at my heartstrings. There's usually some type of sad or melancholy narrative that runs throughout her books that always ends up getting in my feels by the end of the book, and this was no exception. So Atmosphere, it is kind of a different angle that she's ever taken before. She's dealt with movie stars, she's dealt with athletes, she has dealt with musicians, and now she's tackling space. So this book follows a group of astronauts or astronauts that are preparing for a trip for space. The main character's name is Joan. She is living in Houston. She has a sister, and her sister has a young daughter. So she is absolutely in love with her niece and would do anything for her. And she's basically in this astronaut program because she wants to make her niece proud, and she has kind of, you know, been on her own most of her life and has never really taken the time to find something for her as far as a relationship goes. So she is now in this program to get to space, and she meets all of these new astronauts. Some of them are men, some of them are women, and throughout that process she starts to learn more and more about who she is, and she ends up connecting with another astronaut named Veronica, and they have this intense relationship with each other. And the book starts at the very beginning with the mission, or a mission about to start, and Joan is in mission control and Veronica is actually on the shuttle. So the shuttle goes up into space and something goes terribly wrong, and Joan is on the ground trying to get the love of her life safely home. So the book is fast-paced. It is, I think, very well plotted. I do appreciate her because she does tell a really good story, and I appreciate that about her. It's not just fluff. She does have even a little bit of character development in there, and yeah, I thought it was great. Now, I do think that this is probably, if I had to look at all of the books I've read by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think that this one was my favorite. I think that this shows a little bit of growth with her writing. I feel like she is going to be the Kristen Hanna or the Kristen Hanna for millennials. I think of all of the women that are doing kind of millennial historical fiction, I think Taylor Jenkins Reid does it best. I will always want to pick up her books, and I feel like she is giving a fresh take on history, and she usually has different elements that are more diverse than, say, a Kristen Hanna would be. I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid writes for a younger crowd. Now, I am not young by any means, but I do feel like it has that youthful appeal to it. So yeah, I think that I would take a Taylor Jenkins Reid over a Kristen Hanna any day. I might get some backlash for that, but I do think that she has that level of diversity. We're getting different kind of plot lines, and it's not just I feel like Kristen Hanna is a very conservative writer, and I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid offers up a little more nuance, and she talks more or weaves her historical narratives more into, or to align more with the issues that we're dealing with today. So yeah, I enjoyed my time with it, and I am really curious. I haven't looked yet. I would love to see this adapted. I think that it would be a great story, and yeah, I am glad that I took my time with this one. Taylor Jenkins Reid is an auto read author for me, so I'm really looking forward to her next one too. So those are the 2 books that I've read that I can talk about, but just to let you know some of the books that you'll be seeing reviews for in the future when I get some of my project videos out. I did finish Wide Sargasso Sea by Rhys. This is a book I read for my Uncovering Indie series. This was written by Norton, so whenever I do the video for that, I will talk about this book. Another book that I finished for my Uncovering Indie series is Ti Amo by Hanne Orstavik. This is translated from the Norwegian by Martin Aitken. I will be reviewing this one when I do my video for Archipelago. Another book I read for that series is going to be When We Cease to Understand the World by Benjamin Labatut. This is translated from the Spanish by Adrian Nathan West, and this is a book that I will cover whenever I do my NYRB series. Now, NYRB is going to be a little different. I'm actually planning on doing 2 different videos, one more for the NYRB classics, and then they also do a lot of modern books as well, and this one falls under that modern category. So I will eventually review that one when we get to that video. And then let's see, what else did I finish? I mentioned, I think that I am going to be a judge for the nonfiction YouTube prize or BookTube prize. I finished The Barn, which is subtitled The Secret History of a Murder in Mississippi by Wright Thompson. This is a book that follows the story of Emmett Till's murder, and I won't be able to talk about that one until after the winner is announced, because we're not supposed to talk about the books that we have read for that prize until the winner is announced. And then I just finished one called Death and the Gardener, and this is by Georgi Gospodinov, and this is translated from the Bulgarian by Angela Rodel. This, if you recognize the name of the author, he actually won the International Booker, I think 2 years ago, for Time Shelter, and he has this new book called Death and the Gardener. I read an arc of it. It won't be released here in the States until October 7th, and it is going to be published under one of Norton's imprints called Live Right, so this will be covered during that. But yeah, this book is it's a piece of autofiction, and it follows him dealing with the fact that his father is passing. So it's him following the death of his father and the grief leading up to his death, as well as the grief that follows. And it was a very, very good book. I will tell you that much, at least. So yeah, I have been reading a lot and finishing a lot, and also the Booker books that I have been reading. So I finished Flesh, I have finished Misinterpretation, and now I can talk about the books I'm actively reading. So I'll start with those Booker ones that I am in the midst of. I am about halfway through Universality by Natasha Brown. I am reading The South by Tash Aw, and I am reading Flashlight by Susan Choi, and also I am reading Endling by Maria Reva. All of them, I'm about, let's see, yeah, I'm almost halfway through this one as well. All of them are going well so far. I'm trying to get these done before, you'll notice that some of them are library copies. I'm trying to get those finished before they need to be returned. Everything is going okay. I'm really enjoying one of them, and I can't wait to talk about it. And one of them I'm kind of slogging through, but we're gonna get there, and hopefully I'm not very far in the one I'm slogging through, so I'm hoping that it eventually picks up and it ends up being a really great read, fingers crossed. I'm also still doing some of my leftover reads from Women in Translation month. I am actively reading the Pachinko Parlour. This is a pretty short read. I've probably got maybe 30 some pages left with it, so hopefully that one's done sooner. I'm also reading a book for work. We have a work book club, but it tends to be more like self-help business type books. So I'm reading this book called You're Not Listening. It is what it is. I'm also reading Bonjour Tristesse. If you remember, this is a book that I had on my summer reading list. I read a summer book for June, July, and this is my August one. I just started it. I'm not very far into it, but I'm really liking it so far. So hopefully that'll be done soon. I'm also reading The Siege by Ben McIntyre. This is my nonfiction BookTube prize pick that I'm actively reading. And this is about when the Iranian embassy in London was taken hostage, when all those people were held hostage for 6 days in London in the early 80s. So this is a pretty chunky book. All of the nonfiction books are kind of chunky, but I'm enjoying this one so far as well. It's been very informative. And then on a whim, I'm such a mood reader. I cannot help but walk past my shelf and see a book out of the corner of my eye and pick it up, and fully understanding that I already have 10 active reads going on, but seeing a book that calls to me in a moment and grabbing it and picking it up, and then we're down the rabbit hole of me adding it to my current reads and Goodreads. And that book is The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers. This is going very well so far, and I'm actually kind of sad because if I didn't have any of these other reads going on, I would solely put all of my energy into this book because I am loving it so far. So it's good motivation for me to kind of try to get through some of these other ones, because I really do want to be able to get through this one because I'm enjoying it so much. So there are a lot of active reads going on at the moment, but the good news is like having a lot of active reads going, I am getting close and pretty far along in some of them that I'm going to start to finish some of them. And of course, it kind of snowballs. Once I finish some of them, then I have more time to dedicate to the others. But then, of course, you know, I'm just going to want to pick up something else to replace them. But yeah, readers, you know. You know how that cycle goes, especially if you're one that juggles multiple books at the same time. Sometimes I wish I was a reader that could only have 1 or 2 books going, but I just know that that's not realistic for me because I do read like a magpie. And then, yeah, so those are all my active reads. And then obviously for future reads, I am going to have to finish the other books in the nonfiction BookTube prize list. I don't remember all of those off the top of my head, so I will put a picture here of the books that I have to still read for that, and then obviously the rest of the Booker prize books. And as far as other books outside of those 2 things, I don't know of any books after that that I'm going to pick up. And then the last thing that I do want to mention is I am starting to think about end of year content and what it is that I'm going to put together and what the last third of this reading year is going to look like. I will be perfectly honest with you. So obviously I have the Booker books, like those are my priority, and then I have those few nonfictions to read, but I am on the hunt for some fantastic reads. I have not been really satisfied with my reading year so far in this first 2/3 of the year. I was looking at the books that I've read and starting to think about my end of year best of list, and aside from maybe 2 or 3 books, there are none that I would shout from the rooftops as being an absolute favorite. I have read a lot of decent books this year, but I don't think I've read a lot of fantastic or mind-blowing books. So I'm really on the hunt to find those books. I'm really hoping to have a lot of reads this last third of the year that I can proudly put on my end of best books of 2025 or best reads of 2025, because I just don't really feel like the books that I have on my current completed list are it, or ones that I would even want to put on a best of list. Now, don't get me wrong, I have read a couple standout fantastic books that I will remember forever, and I'm proud to put on that list, but I would really like to have a lot of other solid ones to add to that list instead of having to make concessions for books that I just thought were mediocre just to fill a top 10 or a top 12 list, if that makes sense. So I'm hopefully going to be finding some of those books, and I might even be reaching out to you guys for help in that. I'm hopeful that maybe from the Booker list that there'll be maybe 1 or 2 that I can walk away saying that, yeah, this is going to be a top read of the year, but time will only tell with that. So yeah, we are transitioning. So this is getting close to late August. So starting with September, you know, we only have 4 months left of reading to go, and I'm really hoping that this last part of the year is just stellar as far as reading goes. So, but yeah, aside from that, I obviously have a lot of active books going, but I am always looking for new books to add to my TBR. And if there are any great books that you're reading right now that you would like to share with me, please put that information in the comments. And until we read again, bye.